Hello, everybody. It's Dante at SMG War Relics, and today we have the lovely Jennifer Brady with us today. Say hi, Jen.
Hi, Dante. Hi, guys.
All right, so we're gonna kind of jump right into it. We're not gonna do any formalities other than the topic, and the topic today is the scandalous uniform thing that's going on, the uniform scandal, let's just call it. Today is the 5th of November. I'll probably have this published today or tomorrow on the 6th, but this whole thing started last week, I want to say.
Yeah.
Jen, do you remember when it started?
It was last week.
Yeah, so it started last week, and so just a little prerequisite thing here. We're not going to get into like a lot of name calling and opinions. I had a hard time finding someone that could come in and talk about this topic from an unbiased point of view, and I kind of baited Jen into this because I was like, man, I just can't find anyone that wants to talk about this and doesn't have a really stern opinion one way or the other. And Jen was like, oh, do it. And I was like, yes, got you.
You did. You 100% baited me.
So we got Jen on here. So thank you, Jen, for coming on board. I did reach out to a lot of other people trying to talk about this subject. And it was like I was walking around with a crucifix or something or a pentagram on my head. Like nobody wanted to talk about it or say one thing or another. And I understand it's a really sensitive topic. And we're talking about major dealers and we're talking about, a major problem in the hobby. So we kind of want to handle this with, kid gloves and from just as much of a neutral and unbiased perspective as we can. So if you're coming to watch this to see,
Witch hunt.
Yeah, this is not a witch hunt podcast. It's not what we're trying to do. We just want to talk about it and bring to light some things that maybe not everyone's following because this is a multi-platform thing now between different social media things and whatnot. So getting right to it, Jen, what is your understanding of what started all of this?
So Sander was getting consignments for years from one guy, and last month somebody came to him and I've read everything and I still don't think it's entirely clear. I also don't think it's necessarily our place to know the exact timeline, but somebody came to him and said that at least one of the tunics were bad, and he went digging into it and found that a lot of the things that he got from this one consigner were either Frankenstein or completely manufactured to the tune of over $300,000 in sales.
That we know of from
Sander now, right? Like all we know is what he's told us.
Yeah, so the reason why this went crazy is it started as just a little problem for Sander to figure out and to work on, and then all of a sudden he did an apology post, started an apology thread or a post on WAF, Wehrmacht Awards Forum, which is pretty much the place to go to have like a permanent record of anything, right? Because everything's kept there and it doesn't go away unless the administrators or mods delete it.
Which they normally don't do.
They usually don't do it, even when it's controversial stuff. So I think that was the right approach. We don't know really the sincerity of any of this, and it's not really our place to judge that. However, if you screwed up and you want to go make it right, WAF is probably the best place to put it in the open air for discussion. Would you agree?
100%. Also, it will last, right? Like Facebook pages will be deleted, threads will be taken down. WAF is much more permanent than that. But it also opens you up to some of the most opinionated people in the hobby that probably already have opinions about all of us, good, bad, or indifferent. Strong ones.
Well, and that's why this went crazy and this is still a whole work in progress, by the way. We've just kind of scratched the surface on the problem with these fake tunics, and we're learning more and more. It's evolving every single day. There was just there's another WAF thread that came out about something, and there's another Facebook thread that started. So it's like it keeps growing, and it's like a spider, and it's got all these different legs and different things to talk about. So that's why I thought that talking about this in a podcast format would be fantastic. And Jen's a chatty Cathy, so she's gonna she's gonna definitely dive into this with me and see what else we can learn about this together, because I feel like we're learning about this every day. And for the collector, for the novice collector, this is someone that's brand new into this. This is probably way past your pay grade. It's past my pay grade, to be totally frank with you. I don't dabble in super high end tunics often. I do have one for sale now, but it's very unusual. That tunic is nothing like what we're talking about here, by the way. We're talking about mint condition, seemingly unworn, beautiful tunics that just kept coming up. And Sander made an apology that he has sold many of these tunics and didn't know, because he brought them on consignment. Everything looked good with the first one or two. The customers received them after buying them, and he thought that, well, we got a good thing coming. We got a little bit of a honey hole, so to speak, a honey pot. So he would just, I guess, go back and forth with the consignor and say, oh, you got anything left? And the consignor would miraculously have another 2 tunics or 2 pieces of whatever to send him. And this is from Sander's words exactly. This happened over a course of about 3 years he was doing this. So if you're a businessman and the money is coming in and it's good and there's nothing seems to be, foul play, I guess you keep doing it. But
and you have years here. You have 3 years of people buying these items and nobody ever raising a hand saying this isn't good.
Yeah.
And now
go
ahead.
I was just saying, but I think that begs the question of, you've got 3 years of these tunics that keep coming in and they all are beautiful. Like, wait a minute. Like, how are these all perfect? And you're not raising an eyebrow. So I think that's the big problem that people have with this whole thing from Sander's point of view. Yeah, he's making an apology that he did something wrong and he's going to right it. But, how did you not know this earlier on? And is it just like, well, I'm just now coming out with this because I got busted or something like that?
So I think it has to do, and I wanted to touch on this, with ego and perception. So I don't believe that these tunics have been posted anywhere for review before they went on his website. Now, I would assume that he might have asked people privately or not, and we don't know if these would have been called bad publicly. But that being said, there's a perception that people want to maintain, especially dealers. Now, it doesn't matter who I've done this for, but over the last decade, I'll tell you, I've posted things on WAF and Facebook for opinions for 4, 5, 6 different people who were concerned that their reputation would be slighted by asking for opinions publicly when they're supposed to be an expert. Now, I don't care if people see me asking if something high-end is good or bad, because, frankly, I wouldn't know anyways, and you wouldn't expect me to know. But you have people that don't want to be seen as not knowing. So did that play into these not being vetted publicly first, right? Because if you have something that's questionable and you want to know 100% that somebody can't come back later and say it's bad, where do you put it? You put it on WAF for opinions.
Yeah, you put it on WAF for opinions. You try to get a group opinion.
Consensus.
A consensus, right? And like when I put things on there, I like to have at least 2 people say that I trust, and that the community trusts, to say, yeah, it's a good one, no issues on my end, go for it. And I think what you're saying is really interesting and correct, and I've thought about this before. I'm probably one of the few dealers that goes on WAF regularly to post things that I don't know about, and it puts my reputation at risk, right? And I know that because I've gotten feedback on WAF before about, kind of like, hey, you're a dealer, why are you asking questions about this stuff? You're supposed to know. Now, it's not everybody, but there is a little bit of that anti-dealer vibe that you get there from time to time. And that's any platform. It's not just WAF, right? But I think that if, like what you're saying is true, it's like if you want to put yourself on that pedestal of being an expert, when you go to WAF or any platform and ask, is this real? What do you guys think? It immediately takes you down to not the expert level, right?
Yep. It does. And people don't want to be seen as that. So, I don't know what would have happened, especially with the insignia, if they had been put up or not. But, they didn't get put up. And if he's saying he didn't know, that's not great, because maybe this would have been caught long, long before he now has a nice house's worth of refunds to send out.
Yeah, I mean, and we're talking. I mean, there's a little there's humility at stake here, right? I've always patted myself on the back as being very humble and having a lot of humility when it comes to stuff I do know and stuff I don't know. To the point where anybody that says, "Well, you are the expert," meaning me, Dante, or SMG World, you're the expert. You tell me. I always tell people I'm not the expert. I am not an expert in any of this stuff, and I will never claim to be the expert. Maybe I know a little bit more than the guy that's coming to sell me something, or the guy that I'm selling it to, or the general public, or whatever. But I don't want to ever put myself on that pedestal of like, oh, I know everything about daggers, because I don't. And there's like 20 million people that know more about daggers than me. There's 20 million people that know more about uniforms than me. I never want to put myself on that level, because as soon as you're not at the top, people are gunning for you to make a mistake.
Oh, and they find so much joy in people making a mistake. It's Christmas.
Sure. So I don't like to put myself in that situation. But there is like you said, there is an ego that a lot of dealers have, and we're not going to name names, but generally speaking, you kind of get the vibe right away. These guys, they want to have the best of the best on their website. They'll go through almost any means to get and source this really amazing material. And I'm not saying they're doing anything unethical, but they're really in a fight to get this crazy stuff. And I don't like getting dirty and getting into the mud to get these things, especially when it's not in my wheelhouse. So that's why when people are like, oh, Dante, why don't you have more SS uniforms? Or why don't you have more crazy daggers or more crazy? It's like, listen, man, none of that stuff's in my wheelhouse, first of all. And second of all, it's a rat race. It's a real like fight to get that stuff. And as soon as you're fighting with other dealers to get that premium stuff, your margins start to go down and down and down and down. Also, all just so you can say, well, I sold that high-end thing.
And that's very common. And it's like, with everything that Sander sold, he's saying he made 10%. Consigning is easy because you're not out of pocket with money, except in these returns. But realistically, for these super high-end things, when dealers are fighting each other, they are buying it and then selling it at a profit margin that is negligible, 10% or less, just to say they had it. That's not...
Yeah, they're not even covering their operating expenses.
Not
if we
at
talk
all.
about, I know some dealers like Bevo, they charge like a merchant fee if you use a credit card or PayPal. So let's assume that it's a dealer like me. I don't charge those kind of fees. So if I was going to take something at 10% consignment, I'm going to take a 4% hit from my merchant account, whoever's processing my credit cards. Then, so that's what? You're left with 6%. No, and that's 4% of the whole.
Of the whole, right.
Not 4% of the 10%, right? So I'm actually maybe losing money I'd have to do the math, but it's not
Depends
good.
Depends on how much it is, but there's not money to be made, and your time is worth more than $4 an hour. So like, you're not going to make money.
Right. So you're not really making squat at 10%, which is, so you're putting yourself at a huge risk taking on consignments like that, because you're putting your name on them that they're good, and then you're not making any money, right? So if there's a problem and you can't get the money back from the original owner that sold you these under consignment, you've got to eat the whole thing. So a $10,000 uniform that you didn't make any money on to start with is now a full loss for you. And you've got to send some collector $10,000 back. Maybe you get the uniform back and you sell it as a $500 reenactor uniform at this point, or you trash it or bin it. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but you're taking a massive, massive loss. So for Sander to come out and say, hey, I'm going to make this right to the tune of $200,000 or $300,000, and this is all speculative, supposedly, like we don't know the facts of any of this. This is just what we're reading. So that would sink 95% of the dealers that are out there, a $200,000, $300,000 hit. I know I would be in big trouble. I'm going to tell you right now. If someone said you got to pay back $200,000, I have to liquidate my inventory, take a second mortgage on my house. I don't know what I would do to make that right. But that's a massive, massive blow. And I don't know if there's any kind of insurance for that. I don't think my insurance
I don't
covers
think
that.
my insurance covers it either, but also I don't know what there is in Belgium, right? Like we have no idea. We can speculate on the legality of it all, but I don't think anybody that's had an opinion is an expert in Belgian law.
In
Right? Like,
Belgium, I know everything about Belgian law.
well, the way people talk, they act like they know everything about everything legally in other countries, and it's tiring to see.
Well, there's a certain percentage of the collecting community that's like, oh yeah, we got him. There's a dealer and he's going down, and that's unfortunate. I felt that heat ever since I started in this business. Being a dealer is, I'll just say, it's not all it's cracked up to be. You're not making as much money as people think you're making. The work is 24/7. You don't stop. I mean, you can stop, but every time you stop, you
Stop
lose
making
money. And customer orders don't stop just because you've got to go, you want to go on vacation or you want to have some time with your family. Things are still happening behind the scenes, and people still expect their product when you're taking time off, right? So these things you're always thinking about, all right? But there is that like gotcha mentality with the, against the dealers. So it's kind of, I don't know how to really put it into words that well, but I feel bad for Sander in that way, just because it's like, oh shit, now he's going to be taking the heat for this. And we don't know who's right and who's wrong with this.
We don't.
But there's definitely a percentage of people that are like, rah rah, like, the little guys win, the big guys are going down.
They're definitely enjoying it, for sure.
So
it's a mob mentality.
It's a mob mentality, and it very much so. This is a gotcha hobby where it's like, ha, I gotcha, you did something wrong. So if you're a high-end dealer and you do something wrong and you make it right, at the end of the day, everything's digital, it's saved forever. People still know you did something wrong, even though you made it right. So you're always being questioned on that thing that maybe happened 5 years ago. So where this story starts to unfold even further is people are bringing up all kinds of things that had happened to Sander years ago, or maybe in the near past, that Sander had already made right, supposedly, and they're bringing those things back up, like, oh, now we've got a pattern here, and I think those are unfair accusations, because if you're a dealer, you're selling thousands of items a year if you're a full-time dealer, usually. Okay? At the least a couple of hundred.
Anybody realistically should be able to acknowledge that you can't know everything about everything, but you do your best.
Yeah, you do your best. And if you make mistakes and you put it into a percentage of sales, right? You have to look at this from the big picture. If you sell 1,000 items a year and you make 3 mistakes, the percentage of mistakes that you made to positive sales is minute. It's tiny, right?
And in any job, in a performance review, right? Like when I have people I manage now, if I look at error rates, that's more than acceptable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's insanely acceptable. So I think most dealers are doing their best to vet the products.
That's a thing that I see in this hobby as well. You have a mixed bag of people. Not everyone, but there are. It takes no experience, like degree, background, to throw money at helmets, uniforms, badges, swords, whatever the hell you decide to collect. It takes no professional requirements. So you have people that don't have a bedside manner, that aren't remotely well-rounded, that live in this little bubble and base opinions on things that just don't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Like, you see it with people that don't have real life experience outside of collecting. You get this mob mentality, you get this attacking people for things that in the real world, it's not reasonable to attack them for.
Yeah, there's a big lack of empathy.
There is.
From all parties, dealers, collectors, whatever. And that's basically because there's no face-to-face interaction, right? It's like, well, I can call you names on a keyboard because I don't have to look at you tomorrow.
And we've seen this for years. How many people have been like, I'll see you at Max, I'll see you at SOS. Okay,
oh yeah, I'm going to see you.
Past each other.
I'm going to see you at the show and tune you up. and nothing happened.
Ever.
And it's just a bunch of nonsense. People just get all crazy with the keyboard. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the day and age that we live in. So what's wrong with these tunics? Did you see the post on WAF about what's actually wrong with them? Someone started a post.
I did not see that one.
Okay, so someone started a thread. Let's see if the guy's name is forgive me, I'm just reading off of my phone. I think his name is what the heck is the guy's name? Hold on. Gosh, what the hell is the guy's name? Oh, CWP. So this guy CWP, whoever that is, and some of you guys probably know, he started a thread on the WAF, separate from the apology note from Sander, that's basically said, hey, this is what we think we know about the fake tunics. So he has a whole list, and I'll just kind of read off these. So thanks to him for putting this together. The faker made ground-up fake uniform parts using original and likely post-war materials. So there's a key thing there. Someone had access to rolls of fabric that's wartime fabric and potentially other materials. Of course, like thread and stuff is not hard to source, like wartime thread.
Not at all.
But having full bats, is that what they're called? Bats of cloth?
Rolls? I don't know.
I think they're called bats. Bats? I don't know. But full rolls of cloth. That's hard to find, right? So somebody found this or had access to it. Some, but not all uniforms are made of distinctive gray gabardine fabric. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, fakes are usually gray gabardine. The faker seems to have liked rare and exotic tunics, high ranks, TK officers, Aaron Winkel, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, and the like. So a lot of SS stuff, but not just plain SS NCOs and stuff. I mean, I think majors and up, probably, based on the shoulder boards I was looking at. And I haven't looked at all these, but high rank stuff. Many, but not all tunics have had hand-sewn Bevo Tailor tags. Some also have printed name tags that are machine-sewn and likely fake. Collar insignia is machine-sewn and stitches invisible from the front. The bobbin thread matches under the collar construction thread. So the bobbin thread is the bottom thread, I think.
So, but yes, it is. But so this isn't outlining what's wrong with these things. He is just mentioning the characteristics of them, which are all accurate.
Right, but this is where you have to be careful. And he makes this point too. These characteristics are also found on originals.
Yes.
Right? However, all of these characteristics are found, generally speaking, on the fakes. So when you take them as a whole, it's like you should be at least raising an eyebrow if you've got the majority of these things are true or on your particular tunic you're looking at. What else? The sleeve eagles are neatly hand sewn. Some, but not all tunics have artificial light colored discoloration in the upper back interior lining. So I'm guessing it's artificial aging. They somehow age the internal silk lining or something.
To make it look maybe like it's worn. Because we've had plenty of tunics where the inside lining is faded from sweat or whatever wear.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the more obvious thing with these is they're all stiff, like they're brand new and not broken in. No moth holes, no wear to speak of. They look like they just came off of the assembly line, the factory assembly line, or out of the tailor's shop, whatever. And I don't even know. I think these are supposedly all marketed as handmade tunics. Did you figure that out? Are they handmade tunics or made by a specific maker?
I didn't see if
I'm assuming they're high end, so they're privately tailored.
Yeah, I would assume private tailors. And he said they had different types of like name tags on the inside and markings. So I would assume that they would all have been tailor made by different,
or at least one tailor tag is in a lot of them. So that's one thing to put people at ease. Is the majority of your run of the mill tunics, your regular enlisted men and your NCOs and whatever, those are not, so far, they have not become an issue. It's just these high-end tunics. So if you're a collector, like the vast majority of collectors that are really in the $1,000 to $2,000 price range for your tunics, you're fine, okay? Don't worry. But if you've been dabbling in a $10,000 tunic range, let's just say $6,000 to $20,000 range.
Right.
Okay, you and your stuff fits the bill here, you may want to have it checked out. And where did you get it from? Now Sanders saying that he will make everything right for any of his customers, and that's a fantastic thing. What's interesting is that this goes way past Sander and Bevo Militaria. Sander's just the tip of the iceberg on who came out about it. And again, we don't know the sincerity of any of this, but we do know that these types of tunics are found on other major Militaria dealer sites.
Right.
Major.
And similar have gone through major auction houses, right? We don't know. And nothing in what you just read is, hey, this is how we know they're bad. This is just characteristics of an otherwise good-looking tunic. We still don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And we don't know what this is going to look like a couple months down the road, or a couple years down the road, or 10 years down the road. Is everyone going to forget about this? I don't think so. One of the things that I like about how Sander is handling this is he's got a lot of haters, a lot of people questioning his judgment, because really at the very least, Sander made a mistake, right? At the very least. And that's fine. He's going to own it. He's saying he's going to own it. And if that's all he did, he's fine. He can right the ship. I don't know financially or how his business is going to work after this, but from making good on it, he can right the ship. One of the things that he's trying to do, from what I read, and this is really right, all this stuff is right on the forums, so you can go and read the stuff yourself. But he took off all of the questionable uniforms off of his website, right? And people went fucking nuts.
Lost their minds. Oh my God, did they lose their minds?
People went nuts. However, from what he says, he took them off of the website so that, one, he could get some time to figure out what's what and what he's going to do and how he's going to approach this. And two, he's going to recategorize all of these and make a reproduction link, like, hey, this is the great uniform scandal section where you can learn about uniforms that came through me that we found out were bad. And here they are, right? And here's detailed pictures and what have you. I think that is a fantastic thing, okay? Because then it catalogs them for as long as he has his website, and if people want to back up the pictures, they can back it up themselves.
And they will.
I think that's...
I don't think he could do anything. There's nothing he could do that people will not criticize right now. There's nothing. He is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Truly.
Yeah, no, and that just comes with making a mistake, right?
This is the whole transparency thing. Like, at this point, he's not naming his consignor, and people are losing their minds and saying that not naming the consignor protects the perpetrator, allows this ongoing fraud. But, like, let's talk about how short-sighted that would be. And this comes back to people that don't have a lot of maybe life experience to know what a bad idea this would be for him. He is saying, and this is all speculation, all we can go off is what he's telling us, that the consignor said, okay, I'll make this right. We don't know if he's saying, yeah, I faked these, or I was duped too, whatever. He's saying he's going to make it right. Wouldn't you be desperate for this person to make it right with you so that your ship doesn't sink?
Yeah, I mean, I would
do anything in the hopes. Now, most likely, if the consignor is a fraudster and somehow didn't get scammed himself, there's probably no chance he's going to send Sander 250,000 euros, 300 and whatever $1,000. It's probably not going to happen. But so long as he's playing nice, I wouldn't name him either. Because the second you name the person, if I was that person, I would be looking for any excuse to be like, okay, pound sand.
Yeah, it's interesting because what do you do if you're Sander? And let's assume Sander is the victim, a victim, one of many potentially. You go back to the consignor and you say, you screwed me, you sold me this humped up stuff, I want my money back, you got to send me my money back because I got to now make good on my guarantee to all these people. And if you don't, you're going to, maybe financially burden me to the point where I'm out of business or something bad, right? You don't want to put that kind of monetary hit on anybody that doesn't deserve it. But this guy, we don't know who this fraudster is, right? So if we trace the cord back to the wall, I think somebody said somewhere that they think they're made in Hungary, or at least they have characteristics of things that came out of Hungary. All right. So it could be just some guy who's a master tailor making these on the side, or could it be an actual company making these? If it's a company, you probably have a better shot at getting your money back than an individual who just, hey, I got $10,000 from Sander and now I'm going to go spend it on whatever. It's gone. There's no money there. But if you have a company that you can threaten with legal action, maybe you can get your money back. I don't know. It's a huge mess from that standpoint.
At the same time, though, if I don't know if something's good or not, and I send it to somebody who is an industry expert and they say it's good and they sell it, how am I supposed to know it's not good? I don't know. You're the expert. You sold it with your authenticity guarantee. I don't have an authenticity guarantee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's a big problem with consignments, which is why I don't take that many consignments, because I need to know 100% that the item that I'm getting from you is good. And if I have any questions about it, I can't offer it. It's not fair to me, because at the end of the day, I'm going to probably take the hit on it. Or if I'm a bad businessman, I'm going to stick the customer with it and just lock them up in some kind of nonsense legal battle. Because if you're a customer and you spent $10,000 on a tunic and you're not even in the same country, how are you legally going to go after anybody to get your $10,000 back? I don't think it's cost effective. So you're stuck with a $10,000 tunic, right? At the end of the day?
I would think that, lawsuits between countries outside of my area of expertise, but when we're talking about transparency and him not naming the consignor and that being a problem, there is massive transparency in him posting pictures of all of the items that he believes to be bad. He has publicly acknowledged that all of these things he believes are bad. He didn't have to do that. As I don't think most of his buyers would find out otherwise, right? Like, there are plenty of people, customers on my website, I'll look them up. They're not on Facebook. Like, they have no presence anymore. I don't know, no idea who they are. But especially with there's a bunch of insignia in there that he's calling bad or potentially bad. He has publicly admitted that those things are either not good or most likely not good or involved in this. There's huge transparency in that.
Oh yeah, I mean, huge transparency. But I mean, the argument is well, you took the genie out of the bottle, so now you got to come clean with everything, whether there's sincerity in your posts or not. You've got to let it all out, right? So why stop at the consignor? Why is that? Why are you stopping there? And I think it's because
he's hoping to get $300,000 back.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. It's like if you got burned for $300,000, right? But this dude has burned other dealers for maybe even more. I don't know. I'm not paying attention to what other dealers are selling high end, but you want to be first in line to get your money back, right?
That's fair too.
So
I didn't think of that.
You don't even want to let the other dealers I don't know. Is that unethical? I would be like, well, I got to worry about me first.
Yeah, me first.
And then you guys can have at it. But I need my money back first, and then you guys are on your own. So I don't know. That's an ethics thing. But this whole mess is an ethics thing. But, whoo, man. So what else? Jesus, we talked about the characteristics, the apology thread, the 10% commissions. But other dealers involved. And if you want to know what other dealers involved, I'm not going to sit here and make accusations and shoot from the hip here. Go on the forums. Everything is there. You can figure out what dealers have had these or have them for sale. It's a lot of kind of your go-to places for high-end uniforms and other stuff. Let's just say that.
Would kill to know more, right? Because even in the thread you just read where they're talking about the characteristics of the tunics, there's nothing in there that identifies them as bad. So now we have people that we've all considered experts, and probably the people we go to when we have questions about this stuff, veteran collectors, admitting that they can't tell genuine from these forged items. And that is from when Sander still had the pictures, the listings on his website of sold items with every single picture. And he takes good pictures of his items, right? There's 30 pictures of a tunic. You can see everything. And we've seen this before. There's been scandals with honor rings with a sparkling wine-colored helmet decal, and there's countless other big mistakes that have been publicly acknowledged in our community over the years. But with these, nobody's so far able to identify how they're bad.
Well, we're going to learn more about the whole thing. So that's, I mean,
We just have to
that's
wait,
a
and
given.
that's so frustrating.
We have to wait. But this is grown. This is grown legs. So this is like WAF. The Wehrmacht Awards Forum got dragged into this on Facebook, and I think it's bizarre. The amount of hate that the WAF has on Facebook is like, it's really like bizarre. All these people have an axe to grind with the WAF, and I understand some of the perspectives that they have, and I'm sure that not everything on the WAF has happened on the up and up, right? Because you have a lot of different admins and moderators. You have a lot of different opinions, and you have a lot of people that handle things in different ways. And some of these people may be on the money, some of these people may be off, and maybe it's just like, well, I didn't like that guy and the way he talked, so I just banned him. I don't know. I'm sure that could have happened, right? So, but here's the thing. You've got these people that have gotten banned or have some kind of beef with the WAF go on and just shit talk the WAF like it's the worst thing that's ever happened. And this
and it kicks their puppy.
problem, and this problem has exasperated those issues. It's given people another reason to kind of say like, oh, the WAF sucks because of this, that, and the other thing, and it's related to this problem. So to give you guys some context, this thing blew up so fast on this one apology thread, and it was just like page after page after page of responses, boom, boom, boom,
I think there's
boom.
like 16 now or something.
Yeah, and then there was other posts like subthreads, like boom, 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 and it was getting out of control. One, you couldn't follow, you were having a hard time following it, and two, it just became a bash session. And the one thing that I give the WAF moderators credit for is they try to keep it topic focused. Okay, the topic is a dealer is saying there's a problem, I'm trying to fix it. Instead, all these other people would get in there and be like, you're the freaking devil and you did all this stuff wrong and how could you, and you're a piece of crap and blah, 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 blah. That is off topic. Okay, that's an opinion and that's fine. But again, they're running around with pitchforks at this point and we don't have any facts yet. All we know
we have no facts.
All we know is what the dealer is telling us. Okay, so everything is an assumption. And then it gets into like muddy waters where it's like, oh, and now this dealer's a scumbag, and this dealer's a scumbag, and blah, 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 and it just becomes a bash session with people that have axe to grind with certain dealers. And the WAF's just trying to keep that focused and grounded and get away from that. That's not the purpose of the WAF. If you want to go somewhere and just bitch about things, there's Facebook forums for that.
But this archive that's got couple decades worth of knowledge doesn't need to be opinions, and like, especially because it, you know, when you quote somebody and respond to them in WAF, those responses get very, very long, right? It's not the easiest thing to scroll through.
No, they get long, they get hard to read. You also have people that are using translators from different languages. You can't even read what they're writing. And it just gets really, really messy really fast. So what the mods did over there is they went in and they locked that thread, right? And that caused an uproar. They locked the thread and they started deleting like how do I say, not slanderous posts, but like just assumptions and like bashing. They just started deleting those posts that were speculative at best.
And just meant to be inflammatory.
Yeah, and just meant to kind of stir the pot. And a lot of people just don't like that. It's like, bah, bah, I want to say what I want to say. Fine, freedom of speech, that's all great, but that's not the point of the WAF, right? So they deleted some of those. They put a pause on the thread, which was a problem because people still wanted to talk about this. So then they opened back up the thread, I think, because they realized the WAF's not the bad guys here. We need to still let people talk about it, and we're just going to monitor it. And kudos to all the WAF mods. They are doing the best they can with this. It's a very delicate situation, and I think they're handling it as well as they can. Where it gets muddy is some of the WAF mods have direct relations with Bevo Militaria. So there's a lot of speculation about like, oh, there's some kind of a club behind closed doors.
Boys club and
a boys club or this club or a good old boys club. And I can tell you right now, I don't know that to be the case. I'm certainly not in it. Okay. I don't know anyone that's in it. For the record, I don't know Sander from a hole in the wall outside of him seeing him at the Max and the SOS.
We see him twice a year.
Him buying some stuff from me, shaking his hand. How are you? Thanks for your purchase. I'll see you next time. Okay, I don't have an axe to grind with the guy at all, really. And he's doing his business and I'm doing mine. That's where it ends with me. However, there is a lot of like speculation on what's going on behind closed doors on the WAF. And I don't think that any platform is completely immune to having a little bit of
personal
sidebar conversations, right? So if you're a mod and you've got an opinion, maybe you email or you text another mod and you say, hey, what are we going to do with this guy? Or what are we going to do with this? There's a lot of side conversations probably happening. Are they all right? I don't know that. If I can confidently say that they're handling everything the way they should be handled. And if there's no ulterior motives, I don't know that to be true. However, I think they're doing the best they can overall from a whole perspective, a whole picture.
And we have nothing that says otherwise. We have no reason to think otherwise. Now, of course, like, we want to defend our friends if we think they're being treated poorly or getting the short end of a stick, right? But we don't even know if that's the case here because, again, we don't know anything. We know the bare minimum. We know what he has shared with us. That's it.
Yeah, we only know what he shared with us. And, a lot of dealers are sitting on the sideline not commenting because the dealer network it's not a tight community, but it's a small community. So everybody knows everybody. And even if you don't know someone directly, you're only one person away
Guaranteed.
from a direct relationship. All right. So it's a very close community in that regard.
There's no one in the hobby that you or I couldn't ask somebody else to ask that person something. It's just not there.
Correct. If I don't have a phone number from one dealer, his personal phone number, I can call another dealer and get it. It's just the way it is. It's a small network. There's only a handful of companies that do this full time. Well, a big handful maybe, but and there's a ton of littler guys, medium guys, maybe like me, and then there's a bunch of part-timers just doing things on the whim. But the bigger circle, the guys that are doing this full time, myself included, everybody knows everybody to an extent. So I think a lot of dealers are like, oh, I don't want to talk about this because then I'm going to get dragged into it or what. And I don't know. I don't have any issues with anybody. I try to stay above that and I don't name call and I don't talk shit, at least in a public forum. If I have opinions, I have them on the side with somebody, and that's it. That's where it ends. But I try to be very cordial, even to people that I'm not fond of. I'm going to try to be cordial. We all have to live in this little pond together.
And see each other a couple times a year, every single year.
I have nothing to gain by slandering someone or calling someone names or being a jerk to someone. That's my position. You get more bees with honey, as the saying goes. So, my gosh, this is just... So, let's segue back over to Facebook. So, this skipped over to Facebook a few days after it was released on...
24 hours at best.
Well, let's say... however many days, it popped over to there, which was just a matter of time. And there's a Facebook group called the Catch Can, which you can go to air your grievances, let's just say. And it can be a slaughterhouse on there. It is moderated, and the mod does his best, but it's definitely a love-hate relationship with that mod, and it can get really ugly really quick on those forums, or on the Facebook Catch Can.
And there have been many iterations of the Catch Can and the feedback page and whatever over the years as Facebook has deleted them. They are much more subject to personal vendettas against others. I think it's less neutral. It's much less of a neutral ground.
Yeah, it is much less neutral ground, and I feel like Facebook is definitely not pro-dealer
No.
in general. Facebook, which is why you don't have a lot of dealers participating in Facebook threads, because it's very dangerous for a dealer to go on there, because if the dealer says anything that's wrong or incorrect, you're freaking crushed. You're going to get a handful, a pile of shit, and it's not always deserving.
And it goes into personal insults. It doesn't.
Yes.
It's so much less. I hate to use the word professional, but it's so much less professional. Oh my God. It's a dumpster fire.
It's not professional at all. So what happens is this issue goes over to Facebook Catch Can and maybe other groups too. I don't know, but that's the one that's been talked about the most. And the WAF gets dragged into this whole thing about conspiracy theories on why posts are deleted, and there's a good old boys club, and it's all related to this, and Sanders in the good old boys club, and da-da-da-da, and they're protecting him, and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm just like, well, this is all speculative. Nobody knows any of this to be true. This is just all assumptions by mainly people that got booted off of WAF.
It's all, not all. It is primarily people that have gotten kicked for something or other, but then also there are like fundamental structural issues with WAF. You have dozens of people saying, my password expired, I can't reset it. That literally happened to me. I tried to reset my password. I was using whatever. It was a user error on my part, but I hit reset password probably 20 times, never got an email, and then remembered that I was using the wrong password, but I never got the reset. So when you have dozens of people saying, hey, I've reached out and I can't get back in, like, there's some antiquated things with WAF too.
There are plenty of issues with WAF, and I'm a big fan of the WAF, and it's not because it's infallible. It's because I feel like it's the best option we have.
And the biggest database.
It's by far the biggest database. It goes back to the 90s, I think. I want to say it's got to be a 90s platform. So we're talking about old technology, and the reason why it hasn't been totally revamped is there's a major technical issue with trying to save that information and transition it over to a more user-friendly platform. Forget the money, okay, that it would cost to do this.
Which would be massive, and nobody makes money off of WAF.
You're talking about tens of thousands of dollars easily, right? But it's a technical thing. You have to have probably some really talented software writers and code writers to be able to figure out how to transition everything over without losing stuff, keeping everyone's accounts active, other than just starting a brand new shadow forum and then just saying, hey, you've got 2 weeks to transition over to this new website, and then we're shutting down the old one. Like, it'd
be devastating.
I don't know how else you would do it. So why is the WAF so good? Is because of the archives of and really the amount of, now people say this all the time, the so-called WAF experts. Okay, well, I don't know, you got freaking 24 guys on there who've literally written books on this shit that are moderators. Well, who else would you rather have giving you feedback? I mean, okay, yeah, maybe there's a dude in his basement that knows some badge inside and out. All right, great, but is he easily accessible? Is he helping you? No, but if you go on the WAF, at least you get an opinion. Maybe it's not the opinion you want. Maybe the opinion is wrong, okay? And that's happened. Again, WAF is not infallible. You may go on there, people say, poo-poo, this is why. And then a year later, you put the same thing back up there, and they go, oh, it's great, here's why. Okay, those things. You'll
get a general consensus from people that have been doing this longer and this goes back to the potential collapse of expertise, but that are considered the expert in it. It's the experts in things, the ones that we rely on to be better than us.
Yeah, there has and to even be if somebody. It's just, even if it's the general community, right? Even if it's just a bunch of guys who collect kind of seriously that are saying, I like it, it's good, here's my thoughts on the matter. They're putting their name out there and saying that, and you get a collective community agreement on it's good, it's bad, or here's my opinions on the situation.
And you can go back to it.
And you could go back to it. You could search for it 20 years down the road. You cannot do that with Facebook. There is no way any of this stuff is archived. You could take screenshots. Okay, well, who's got the screenshots? I don't know. what freaking group was it on? Try to go find something on any of these groups that was posted last week. Good fucking luck, man. You can't find this shit. So Facebook is useless as far as research is concerned. It is completely useless. If you just want to ask a question, fine, it's great. But then that question and all the work that went into solving that problem is gone in a week.
The second that page is deleted, and they have all been deleted.
And that's another great point. And Facebook hates what we do. Okay?
So much.
They don't like it. That's the bottom line. They don't like it. It doesn't meet the community standards, and they get rid of it as soon as it violates X, Y, and they get rid of it. So the lifespan of a group on Facebook is what, 2 years maybe? It's just not long before there's a new group coming out to replace the old group, and the cycle continues. And that goes for your accounts too. So, kudos to Tom Durante for being active in this whole thing and trying to
on both platforms.
On both platforms, because he's a WAF mod and he's also on these Facebook groups. He's an active collector, an active author, actual expert,
and a genuinely wonderful human as well.
A good person who gives back to the community 100% and is selfless. He's involved in this, trying to put out the fires, make sense of all this, but he's getting freaking bashed on Facebook as well. And I don't think it's, you're poking the bear. I don't know why you're poking the bear. Like, just give it a rest. Again, WAF, it's got issues. It's an old platform. We get it. If you have a technical issue trying to log in, you need to contact one of the mods. You can contact Tom Durante. Go to the forum and look him up and contact him. Okay, you can go on Facebook and contact him. He will get you signed in. There is a technical thing where if you've had an account and then it got deleted, and if you're using the same email or something, you won't be able to get back in. You won't be able to clean it up. You have to have a mod help you. Get him to help you. You'll get in. I have not had a problem in 5 years, since a long time. But if you are just playing the game of trying to reset it yourself, you're going to be frustrated.
It's not going to work.
Screw this place. That place sucks. It's just a bunch of old people talking about rubbish anyway. All right, fine. Listen, you put more time into recovering your Google password than you have into actually getting fucking onto WAF. So give it a rest and just put in a second and send an email to a mod and they'll help you out. That's my rant about that. It's still the best place, even though I don't always hear what I want to hear on there. And sometimes I feel like I'm getting the wrong information. Well, I'm certainly not getting any better information on Facebook. So, it's the best place. And there's other forums out there. War Relics EU is still active. I think the HJ forum is still active, or did it get shut down?
I haven't gone on there in a very long time.
There's a couple other ones, and they're okay. I go on there when I'm looking for specific information that maybe WAF doesn't have a thread on. Maybe I can find it on there. So they're good too, but the most active by far,
those are great for research,
WAF.
Right? For like other things, but for active opinions, current opinions, it's WAF, right? Like if you're gonna look for something old, feel free to search the other forums. But if you want people that are active, they're most active on WAF, and then
on the WAF.
War Relics.
Yeah, just last night I was curious just to see how many people were on last night. There's over 500 people active at like 12 o'clock midnight Eastern.
Well, I mean, we have some things that we've been reading.
Well, but it's not even there's not even exceptional, because this might be an interesting topic to a lot of people. There's a lot of people who have no skin in the game for this, myself included. But it's just an interesting topic. And people want to hear about it. They want to talk about it. They want to see what's going on. They want to see what other people's opinions are of the matter. So, but I want to go back to the whole archive thing, where I think that dealers that leave an archive up are opening themselves up to ridicule, because you could have sold something 5-10 years ago. It's still in your archive, and then all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, that thing he sold 10 years ago. Oh, it's bad. Here's why." And he's a bad guy, right? So you're leaving yourself vulnerable to that. So I think that in the name of transparency, it's a good thing to leave your archive up. So, I mean, I think Sanders doing the right thing there. It also, it's good for research. People are going to your website to look for, oh, I want to compare makers marks on
Right.
EK1s or something. And they say, oh, well, Dante's sold, 2 from this maker and 5 from this maker or whatever. And it's easy to research. So it's good. It's good for
It
the whole
is.
community to leave the
There's
archives up.
another European dealer that is very good with badges, and when you go to that person's website, search them, they're all there. Scroll your mouse over and it shows you the back of every badge. It is the best thing. It is the easiest
Yeah.
research on the planet. I know you know who
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's great.
And kudos to those websites who have done that. You leave yourself open to some potential attacks, and maybe they're warranted, but also it's 10-year-old thing. Okay, I can try to fix the mistake from 10 years ago, but listen, all dealers, I don't care who you are, you've made a mistake, okay? It's about how you fix it, and you're, as we say, transparency, and putting out as much information as you can when you did make a mistake, and just fix the fucking mistake, all right? And then let's move along. But it's a lot easier to say that when you're talking about, a bad badge and it's one thing than $200,000 or $300,000 worth of uniforms, right? One time I put up, there's some political eagle, I forget, some beautiful anodized gold political eagle, and I forget the maker, but I sold a bunch of them. And then, like, one time I was just stumble on some research, and I found out that there's a whole thread about them not being good. And I'm like, oh shit, these are all no good. I sold a bunch of these things. So then, I go back through my sales history, and I send out, I don't know, half a dozen emails. Hey, just letting you know, you bought this from me 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever. It turns out this is no good. If you'd like a replacement or a credit or your money back, whatever, let me know. And you know who I heard back from? Zero.
Really?
Zero. Nobody emailed me back. None. So Sander could be in a similar situation where there's either people that don't have that stuff anymore. They're dead.
Right.
Because a lot of the collectors that are spending 10 grand on a Tunic, probably little
Kids.
They're not
kids.
children. They're not 20-year-olds, generally speaking. So they might have, they might be 6 feet under already. And now it's their spouse's problem. And then who knows where that freaking thing is going to go. But there's going to be a certain percentage of people that are also going to, for humility's sake, they don't want to even admit that they even have it or come forward. And that's become kind of a separate topic in itself, is like, well, who's got these? And why aren't these people saying anything? Well, they might be embarrassed that they bought something that's no good, and they don't want to say that they have one of these things,
Or they might not ever come across a Facebook thread or a WAF thread. There are plenty of quiet collectors out there that they won't know.
Yeah, they won't know. They're taking the dealer's word for it. Again, kudos to Sanders for trying to, get back to these people, if that's what's happening. We're assuming what he's saying is correct. So what else do we need to talk about here? Man, we went through a lot of stuff.
I think we covered the gist of it pretty well.
The thing this is the last major topic I have regarding this whole scandal. How does this affect the hobby down the road? What does this do to the hobby? Let's
Nothing.
assume it's just uniforms and high-end insignia. What do we do as a community regarding these items? Is this going to be just like the champagne rune thing, where it's just like, well, anything that's a champagne rune or that color is just, boop, it's bad, and that's it? Or is this harder to get our hands around and our head around as far as what the problems are, where they are, how many dealers are affected? So anybody that's selling high-end tunics now, are they going to have problems moving high-end tunics? What do you think?
I think that this will be more of a campfire story than it will affect things long term, right? Because and I don't know, because at this point we don't even know why those tunics are bad. We don't know why they're bad. Nobody's coming forward and saying, here's the tell, here's what's fake, the bullion's fake, here's how you know, right? So, like, will that stop the people that have $15,000 to spend on a tunic from spending $15,000 on a tunic if they believe it's good?
Yeah, I don't know.
Think it will.
But also, you're I think right now it's going to be like, if you have your ear to the ground in the community, you're probably thinking twice about buying a high-end tunic right now, right?
Yes.
You're going to be like, whoa, well, let me check this out. Let me look at this. Let me do some more research. Let me see what other people think. So I think we'll probably have a lot more posts in WAF in regard to authenticating tunics. And is this one of those? And, is the value going to go down now? Or is the value going to go up on the ones we know are not affected, right? Because the pot was like, it was like, wow, look at all these great tunics on the market. It's amazing. Like, you can always go to these dealers and there's always these great tunics and they're brand new. Now we're like, well, those are probably not good. So now it's like this. There's only a couple that are really actually fine. The price on those couple, did that just blow up into the stratosphere? Or does everything now come down because it's subjective? Because now it's like, well, this could be one of those, so I don't want to pay what the market was in 2025 or 2024. I want to pay like way less than that. And do things just sit there? But like you said, there's a lot of people that are just not involved in the forums. They don't care. And they just got more money than brains is the old thing. So it's like, well, I like it. I'm just going to buy it. And I'm going to take the dealer's word for it. But I think the dealers got to do a lot better.
The dealers are going to I would expect to see more high-end tunics put on WAF for opinions because you don't want people coming back later and saying, I want my $17,000 back.
Yeah. And then you're going to have some unscrupulous dealers that are like, no, it's fine. It's good. And people are going to be like, well, no, we know it's not good. And here's why. More will come out about this. But those unscrupulous dealers, and I'm like, we're not saying Bevo's unscrupulous, but there's other dealers that may be, okay? I'm not naming names, not what we're here to do.
Doesn't matter.
You can find that out on your own, okay? Just be careful out there with these high-end tunics and also the high-end SS insignia you have to be careful of. We're not talking about, your basic DAC-out collar tabs now. We're talking about super high-end bullion stuff. So, I don't know. I think it's definitely a stain on the community. I think it's something that we all need to, get our heads around and figure out really what happened. But I think you're right. Like, campfire kind of talk, 10 years down the road, it's going to be like, well, remember the uniform scandal? We're past that now, but here's the deal. But who knows? We don't know how many dozens of uniforms are out there that are affected, how big this consignor was, and who else he was selling them to. Because, think about this, too. Like, all right, we know, obviously, Sander is involved. He's the first one to say there's a problem. He sells the tunic in, it's 2025. He sells a tunic in 2023. Maybe sells 6 of these in 2023. I have no idea how many. Those six, I can guarantee you, are not still all in collections. They've been sold to another dealer or consigned again and again.
Or an auction house, they're gone.
An auction, a lot of these are probably gone already. So now you start to get all of these different dealers in the mix, and it's like, well, who's the one that's going to eat the cost of this tunic? It could get so diluted that everyone takes a little bite and a little loss, and then that's it. But if this pipeline is just chocked full of tunics, and there's, I don't know, let's just say there's 50 tunics, maybe there's 100 tunics, I have no idea, I'm just speculating. That's a lot of stuff that's out there, high-end stuff that's out there. But
I would think that once it leaves the person he sold it to's hands, right, like then it becomes much more complicated and much less of a risk for him, right? Because if it's gone, the prices from 2021, 2022 to now, high-end items have been sold for more, so they are most likely gone. Some of us buy things and hold on to them forever. There are 14 tunics in my office that I don't ever plan on selling, right? But if I buy something cheap and in a few years it's worth thousands more, I might be tempted. So at the point where it's left 3 or 4 people's hands, like you can't take that back step by step by step asking for refunds.
Yeah, at what point is it not that person's problem anymore? Like, I don't know. It's a slippery slope. There's a lot of ethics involved. The bottom line is dealers have to be a little more humble, and they have to do a little more homework. We can't just say, well, the reproductions are getting so good. Okay, well, we still have a job to do. We still have to figure out if they're good or not, and we have to get other people's opinions. And if you put it up for review and you have the whole world says, "Hey, it's fine," you're gonna say it's fine, right? And but what do you do 2 years down the road when you find out it's not fine? So I guess you still got to take your lumps, but it can get messy. So, all right, that's all I got. I think we've beaten a dead horse over this subject. But thank you, Jen, for kibitzing with me, and
well, thank you for having me.
I hope you viewers have learned a little something about the uniform scandal of 2025. And we'll see how this ages, and we'll see what up stuff. We might be back for part 2 on this.
Let's do part 2 in like 6 months.
We don't know. We might be back for part 2, which I would assume would be significantly shorter, but who knows how many different threads and forums are going to open up about it and what we find out. But, so far, all we know is a lot of assumptions, and we're trying to give the dealers the benefit of the doubt that are involved, and we'll go from there. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.